All right. I don't know if I talked about this last time. Has to happen, setting environment, or present. Did I talk about the conversation where I sat with a friend of mine and she was being very down. Again, I use the term friend very loosely. I don't really consider her my friend, but she's definitely a good person. And she's definitely a person that is, I want to say, caring, understanding, thoughtful, all the good qualities you would want in a human being. Yet I believe friendships are a lot deeper than that. So she's probably not my friend, but she's definitely like a good person to have around you in life, especially given how life could be. So she was feeling very, and then I don't know what we were having a conversation about, and she was talking about how she was feeling sick. And I was like, instead of saying that, say I'm excited to feel better. And she laughed and she goes like, why are you always like this? I go like, I think it makes sense for me to look at the world the way I do because it's an easier way to kind of like accept responsibility. And that brings me to a conversation I had with my dad, but that's not a video for now. That's video for like a couple more videos into the future. But that what I remember from it was it's bound to happen. And I looked at her and I was like, it's bound to happen. And she was like, how was your day? And I look at her and I smile and I go like, I had my first muscle up in 8 years today. And I don't know whoever knows what a muscle up is. There's the pull up where you carry the bar up, and the muscle up where you go all the way above the bar and then you push yourself up. That's a muscle up. And so I looked at her and I was like, I did my first muscle up today. And she goes like, congratulations. I go like, why? It's exciting, yes, but there's no congratulations. She goes like, but you did it. I'm like, yeah, but it was bound to happen. And she looked at me and she was like, what do you mean? I go, because ultimately, if everything I'm doing is contributing to a muscle up happening, then eventually a muscle up will happen. So there's no congratulations involved. It was part of the process. In order for me to kind of be able to muscle up, I need to be able to do 15 to 20 strict pull ups. And the minute I can do that, that means my body's strong enough to throw itself to a different level in order for me to kind of like do the extra twist. So at that point, all I have to do is is attempt the whole transition between like a pull up to a muscle up. And then I looked at her and I started explaining based on the business she was trying to do. Like if you look at the business and how you contribute to it on a daily basis, you're always looking at, okay, so this has to happen, like a muscle up has to happen. And if I'm not able to do a muscle up right now, which literally means whatever it is I'm doing is not contributing to it. So I always would alter what I'm doing in order to contribute to whatever it is that I want to do. And then by the time I figure out my contributions, I would have already been able to kind of like figure out the end result. So they're so connected in a very simple way that they make sense. And ultimately, every goal you set for yourself is bound to happen. Now, naturally, if I do just once a week strict pull ups, then I'll probably reach a muscle up in 6 months to a year. If I'm doing twice a week strict pull ups, maybe it'll be closer. If I'm doing every day strict pull ups, it will take a month. And once you understand what a strict pull up is, for example, as well, like maybe you're doing them, but they're not really the actual pull up that you're supposed to do. Maybe your form is off, maybe your grip is loose, maybe your shoulders are not necessarily pulling properly. Every single thing that contributes to it will reveal itself and will show you if it's not working, then something you're doing is not necessarily pointing in that direction. So it's either stop doing something or do something else. And these are always your choices. Stop doing this, break the fucking pattern. So it's always like, don't do this, do that, do this, do that, do this differently, do this better, don't do this at all, do this sometimes. You have to kind of like come to an understanding. And the whole bound to happen part was more towards if you are to look at your future, How the hell are you going to create any form of belief if whatever it is you're doing right now not making you feel like you're contributing to it? It took me, I did my first muscle up in 8 years last week. And the weird part is, I probably could have done it a year ago. I probably could have done it 2 years ago. Because over the past 2 years, I have been working out and I have been wanting to do a muscle up. But almost all the things I was doing, between yoga to whatever what I was thinking of when it comes to like CrossFit, or just purely just gym workout, they were not actually contributing. You know, gym, when you're just holding steel, eating steel, they say. In Africa, that's what they call it. And I can eat steel. But almost every single thing I was doing was not really something that would contribute to a muscle up. And the day my workout started being more designed towards the success in a muscle up. And that's everything from the handstands to the dips to the jump rope, everything to kind of like allow my body to kind of like just be able to handle something like that. The conditioning that was necessary. Once that became my workout, it took me 2 months to actually reach it. Funny, right? Because if every single time I look at how I actually wanted to do a muscle up, but most of my work never contributed to it, then was me fantasizing? Was it me fantasizing about it? Or was it just wishful thinking? Was it me living in my dream world or just like having dreams out loud without actually consistently trying to approach them? How would you look at that? And the same when it comes to my goals, for example. Why haven't I reached them yet? Something is off. What is it? Sometimes they're fairly simple. You're supposed to have a working product in the market, but you don't. Why isn't there a working product in the market? It's probably because I don't feel confident enough. I don't have the energy to spend again. I feel like I actually thought that I was doing a good job, but then when I finished the actual website, deployment was hell, and people weren't able to use it, which made me feel weak and all that good stuff. Maybe my project was a bit too much. I used a lot of like dependencies all over, so when a mistake happens, I don't know which mistake is happening, which where it's coming from. So I stopped, I reverted, I researched, and I took an extra course in order for me to kind of like not a refresher, more like to see more details in the things that I'm doing in order for me to be able to like feel more in charge and control over what I'm building instead of just why isn't this working? It worked last week, right? I just wanted to get over this kind of shit. My goals are bound to happen. Anyone's goals are bound to happen as long as whatever it is we're doing is supposedly contributing to them. And as I process things into the future, anything I process into the future is always literally that. It's bound to happen. The only difference is how soon do I want it to happen, or how soon do I want to include it in my life. It probably takes us back to like the open loops that I talked about earlier, because without these open loops actually closed down, I will not be able to understand what other loops I need to kind of like bring, what other stuff I need to build and finish in my head, in my mindset, in my thought process, and my understandings. Because these are the missing parts. These are the missing parts, man. And ultimately, you have to kind of own up to the fact that even though you're moving forward, you can still always, you can still always tread better, move better, approach easier, simpler, uniform, controlled, all those. You can always, always, always do something different. And even though you're getting better every day, there's always something. Forget that that's always something. I don't think that's the right way to say it. Even though you're getting better every day, is it really serving the end goal? Are you just getting better to get better, or are you getting better to get something done? I think these are two like important questions. Getting better versus this serving your end goal. Are you really getting better for the sake of getting better, or are you really getting better for the sake of your end goals? And I think that's one of the most beautiful things we need to consider every day. And that's where they actually say it, right? The people go, am I actually the person? Am I doing this because I want to, just because for the fun of it, because I have time in my day? Or am I doing this because this is what I decided will complement where I want to be? Thank you.